What's good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Knowledge is wrapping up free agency again. We're going to talk about a potential winner or loser. We don't know until we find out, but judging based off the moves right now and what has been done, including the draft and free agency, and the fact that Fred Hoiberg is a guy that was a college coach, came into the NBA, really didn't have no say so. They built rosters around him. He had to adjust his players leaving. He had to adjust the Rondo, Wade, and Butler team. Now he finally got a crop of young players that can, really go out there and make a big difference. Potentially, he has a lot of parts to work with. He has a lot of intrigue. He has a lot of, things going on right now with this roster. And I like it. I've been on record saying that I like this Bulls team 2 years ago. Well, 1 year ago when they made the Jimmy Butler trade, I was on record saying that at the end of the day, I don't think they lost the Jimmy Butler trade. Everybody was saying they lost Jimmy Butler. They traded up for a bag of peanuts. I was a guy that liked Zach LaVine. I was a guy that likes and still likes Chris Dunn. And as I always said, we didn't really know what to expect from Lauri Markkanen because us in the U.S., we haven't really seen him play, and we didn't really know what he was going to do. So I didn't prejudge the trade until I seen all these things go into play. And you got to remember that Zach LaVine had tore his ACL, so you didn't really know how he was going to come back. He comes back, he wasn't the same, he didn't look the same, but they didn't have any problem giving him his $80 million. To stay with the Chicago Bulls. So they could have just let him go. They didn't have to match the offer. They could have just gave him the qualifying. Reject the qualifying. They took him and said, hey, we want to keep this guy. We want to build around this guy. And I don't have a problem with it. A lot of people liked it, that video that I made about Zach LaVine. I've been a big person of Zach LaVine, even going into that draft. I'm a Celtics fan. I said I'd rather have Zach LaVine than Marcus Smart. Even if I'm a Laker, I'd rather have Zach LaVine than Julius Randle. And Julius Randle not even on the Lakers anymore. And Zach LaVine is obviously getting paid more money than Marcus Smart. And to me, has had a better career than Marcus Smart, including the fact that he tore his ACL. I feel like he had the higher ceiling. He had the most potential. And even though he was a project in that draft, you just couldn't deny that the talent was there. And the fact that he still is young and he has shown potential that he can score, he can be semi-efficient, and he can be a solid to good three-point shooter at best. And he has a lot of intrigue, and you have to be able to have that work ethic. And every time you see Zach LaVine, he's out there in the gym. He's out there putting work in. He's adding something new to his game. And that's the formula for a superstar, a formula for an all-star at worst. And you can say the same thing about Jabari Parker. This whole group is a bunch of misfits. People gave up on Chris Dunn. They said he was going to be Rookie of the Year. He had a terrible rookie season, and people just gave up on him. Last year, they said, Chris Dunn had a solid season. He proved that he can be an NBA player. So people already gave up and written off Chris Dunn. People already gave up on Zach LaVine when he tore his ACL and got traded right away to Chicago. People gave up on Jabari Parker. He tore his ACL twice. He had one season when he averaged 20. He had a couple solid seasons other than that, but the Bucks didn't want to pay him. They let him go. He's still young. He's still hungry. He's a guy that's always in the gym. He's always putting in that work, and you can tell because his game is advanced for his age. His scoring is advanced for his age, and he can do it in multiple ways. But tearing his ACL twice, and people gave up on him. They didn't feel like he was worth the max. He didn't even get the max. He got the max salary at $20 million, but he didn't get a 3 to 4 year deal, something that Zach LaVine ended up getting from the Sacramento Kings. But Chicago took a chance on him, and he got a player option. So at the end of the day, if it don't work, you can always let him go and get the money to somebody else. Or if it do work, you build around him and Zach and Dunn possibly, and see how far they can take you. This team has a high ceiling. Obviously, going into this year, they don't seem like a playoff lock because of their inexperience. Jabari Parker obviously was a part of the Bucks. They made it to the playoffs the last couple of seasons. Obviously, they didn't have any success in the playoffs, getting put out in the first round. He did show a lot of potential against the Celtics. That's a team that he's going to have to beat because he's still in Chicago, which is in the Eastern Conference. If they really want to make a serious run, they're going to have to beat the Celtics. But this is definitely a good move for them to accumulate this type of talent after losing Derrick Rose, losing Jimmy Butler and Joakim Noah, all all-star caliber players, because they all was, to come back and get this type of talent in a short amount of time. And if you ask around the league, a lot of people think that the Chicago Bulls don't have a good front office. But I will have to give them credit, and even Fred Hoiberg a lot of credit, because he was able to stay positive. He didn't get the roster he wanted. I feel like he didn't get the decisions and opinion that he wanted as being a coach. He hasn't really got a fair chance because I don't think he had enough say so in the roster, and that could be bad for him, good for him, or he could have just tried to do more. But he basically got a younger roster with a lot of talent. They got multiple ball handlers, multiple scorers, play guys that can play multiple roles, and guys that can put the ball in the basket. The problem is trying to find a system that allows them to reach their full potential, because at the end of the day, it's going to be some rust. It's going to be some chemistry issues because most of these players haven't played with each other enough, because of injuries and because of people being rusty. And also, they added in some new pieces like Wendell Carter and obviously Jabari Parker. And they never played with Wendell Carter because he's a rookie, obviously. And Jabari Parker is their biggest addition this summer. And going into next season, they don't really have a lot of hype, but also people are looking forward to watching them. So this could be one of those years where they can surprise you and be one of the up and coming teams that gets a lot of headlines, that gets a lot of credit, or they can be one of those teams where they flopped and people see that it didn't work and they're gonna get a lot of scrutiny and criticism. But this team being young, I like the fact, going back to that point, I like the fact that they was able to accumulate this type of talent. It just them playing together and them figuring it out and them trying to max their potential with this team. But even if they do have a decent season, it's just hard seeing how this team works, considering that they don't really have any long-term commitment besides Zach LaVine, considering that Mark Andrews is still on a rookie deal, Wendell Carter and Bobby Portis, and then you still got Chris Dunn on a rookie deal. They're still trying out these players. They're still seeing, can they build a competitive team around this core? And I like the fact that they went out there and tried. Yeah, we failed with Jimmy Butler. Yeah, we failed with Derrick Rose. We didn't win a championship. We got to the Eastern Conference Finals. We underachieved because people thought that was a championship team. They was able to get the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. They was able to win 60 games. They was able to have an MVP. They was able to win games without Derrick Rose and make it to the playoffs without Derrick Rose. And they was even able to make it to the playoffs with a guy like Jimmy Butler. But at the end of the day, for them to lose that type of talent and lose that type of position and gain this type of talent in short notice, a short amount of time, and now that things are looking up, the city is happier. They're getting more press, a lot of more people more intrigued and interested in seeing if this team can work out, to see if this team will actually prosper. And that's something that I'm even looking forward to when they signed Jabari Parker and draft Wendell Carter. And I was at Summer League, like you guys know, seeing that they was running handoffs with Wendell Carter. He was setting a lot of screens. He's able to hit the three. He's able to be a rim protector. He's a solid rebounder. He's a versatile forward that can do a lot of the dirty work. You're starting to see a lot of forwards at that power forward and center position be utilized more like the Jokic's of the world. They're having a bigger, even with like Joakim Noah, for example, being able to set the screen, do the handoff, make the passes, make the plays. They have a guy like that in Wendell Carter, who's only 19 years old, but he fits what they're trying to do because Zach LaVine likes to have the ball in his hands. Chris Dunn is best with the ball in his hands, and Jabari Parker is too. So Wendell Carter being that type of guy, he's more of a utility guy, kind of like a Draymond Green, a guy that's going to play hard, anchor your defense to a certain extent, make plays, but also give you offense when you need it, whether it's three-point shooting, getting the ball to the basket, or just making the simple passes. And like I said, Joakim Noah was a guy that already played for the Bulls that had a similar type of role within the offense, especially when players went down. he had got a higher usage rate, and he was able to impact the game in a variety of different ways, whether it's winning Defensive Player of the Year or leading the NBA in assists. He was able to do both of those things, and it's kind of funny that they go back and trade Joakim Noah and find a guy that has similar characteristics as Joakim Noah and Wendell Carter at 19. And you can definitely say the same thing about marketing. He's a guy that can play in the pick and roll, pick and pop, and play off the ball, which helps Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and Jabari for giving them that floor spacing and giving them a knockdown shooter, but also giving them space to where they can pull up, get to the basket, get to the free throw line, but also create shots for other players. I think Chris Dunn is a guy that's going to have to learn a little bit how to play off the ball a little bit more. He did that a little bit in Minnesota, but he wasn't active. He wasn't trying to score. He wasn't trying to do backdoor cuts. He wasn't knocking down threes or running off screens or anything. He's going to have to find a way to keep moving, keeping the offense interesting, keeping the offense honest, too, and the defense honest, because they're going to be watching him. They're going to be sagging off of him if he's not going to shoot or be aggressive. So I think that's his evolution of his game, finding different ways to be effective and efficient, but also finding ways to impact the game offensively besides having the ball in his hands. And I feel like Zach LaVine got better at that, but he still was rusty during the season. So I want to see how he will be after the surgery, getting that off season, getting back and having that chemistry with certain players on the roster, knowing what they like, knowing what they want to do, and knowing what they can and what they're capable of doing. Plus, having another scorer and having that wing player that gives them size, but ability to create shots for him. Jabari Parker, not the best defender. He's not the best playmaker, but that's another evolution he has to take in his game if he wants to stay at that scoring all-star caliber level. He put up all-star numbers already to a certain extent with the Bucks, but now he has a chance to possibly become a better team player and a better player in general, because his role will change coming off the bench for the Bucks or even just playing heavy minutes because one of Chris Middleton went down, so he had to do more because Chris Middleton went down. Now he's going to be a feature part of the offense. He's going to be a player that's going to be relied on for them to win, and that's a step up in his role coming to Chicago because they're going to need to utilize him. They're going to need him to score. They're going to need him to be a factor, and he's going to play a lot of minutes, and that's a new role for him coming into this season. Obviously, he was used to it in high school. He was used to it in college, but now he has a bigger role in Chicago again, trying to be one of the featured players on this roster. And I think if Andrew Wiggins can average 20, if Karl Anthony Towns can average 20, and Zach LaVine can average 20, why can't Jabari and Zach LaVine coincide together? If he was able to coincide with Wiggins and give you buckets still, why can't he coincide with Jabari and give you buckets and still, Wiggins is not the best spot-up shooter. He's not the best scorer in the league, but he was able to fit with Zach LaVine. If Wiggins is able to do it, why can't Jabari? Why can't Chris Dunn? And Ricky Rubio wasn't known as a scorer. Ricky Rubio wasn't known as a spot-up shooter. And they was able to figure out a way to make that offense work to a certain extent with those three players. And I see Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, and Jabari with a better floor spacing with Market and Carter being more unselfish and giving them more space. Like I said before, I feel like they can be a better fit, and them learning from them experience should help them mesh even better going into this season. So let me know what you guys think about the Chicago Bulls. Do you think they're going to make the playoffs? Are you just excited to watch them? Do you think they're not going to work, or do you feel like at the end of the day they're young, they're just going to have to go out there and see what's going to happen? And that's why I think they're getting through into the fire. Let's see if it's going to leave some stretch marks, some burn marks, and we're going to see if they're going to come out safe or is they going to have to change it all around. But I would definitely give the front office credit for losing all that type of talent and being able to be in the position where they're at right now when they're one of the most interesting teams in the league coming into this season. And like I said, this is a group full of misfits. A lot of pieces that was given up on, a lot of pieces that didn't work out, a lot of pieces that was counted out or overlooked. And now they all on the same roster trying to figure out a way to win basketball games together while also growing and developing and continually to get better. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. Quinn Wade, Basketball Analysis. I'm gone. Cool. And let me know what you guys think about the Chicago Bulls in the comment section below.